Hello, welcome to the Overlap Rugby podcast. I'm Shane, that's Daragh.
Hello.
This is podcast number 23, which is good. We're getting back at it more promptly as the season is back in. We're in full flow up here in the Northern Hemisphere, which is great fun.
Very much so.
We do have games to review this episode. We have obviously look back at not Super Rugby, the Rugby Championship.
Super Rugby is about the only competition not going on, right?
Yeah, indeed. And as much as we miss it, we're enjoying this new Pro14 buzz that's about. We're one of the ones that are proponents of it for sure, especially after the last couple of weekends of events and the weekends to come. We're definitely going to have a look ahead at that as well. Being the Leinster fans that we are, Leinster are going to be touring South Africa in the weekends to come. So we'll have a look at that later on. But I think we're going to start off with the All Blacks Argentina.
Yeah, of course, we're not going to bury the lead here. We're starting with the Rugby Championship, the international competition going ahead at the moment.
Yeah, and going very much the All Blacks way, as has been the case the last little while.
It was a good game. It was much more easy on the eye than the other game.
You're talking about the Argentina game. Yeah. Well, I was actually talking about the tournament as a whole, kind of going the All Blacks way as well. But yeah, the Argentina game was very pretty. It was very quick as well. And Argentina were competitive. It was great fun to see that from that point of view, because you've been very much of the notion that Argentina just have this softness and chaos to them. That
it still was a bit reliant on chaos. I do like that pick and jam through the middle that Creevy gets going quite a bit.
Creevy is remarkable.
Yeah, that's like it. I think it can be joyous at times watching him play, but absolutely, especially looking forward to this week against Australia. They're going to get a bit more purchase with that as well. They were good, but they weren't perfect. I mean, I think the first thing we learned today is something I think we already knew, which is that the first name on the team sheet, apart from Creevy, was Sanchez at 10. You know, Hernandez isn't half the player. He controls the game very smoothly. He's a great boot. He's a great eye for a game. Yeah. Also a very solid defender. Yeah,
really good tackler. Kind of reminds me of Johnny Wilkinson a little bit that way, and just how sturdy he is in the contact area compared to most.
And he picked off a lovely drop goal, which I suppose at the time was probably the right option. Found a great try. He, in fact, in the first half, he did the all four. He got the try conversion penalty and the drop goal.
Solid performance from
New Zealand is not bad going.
It's what you want from your out half when you go there. Yeah, no, they put it up. I did not anticipate them being up at half time. It was just looking ahead. It was
a bit of a mad try.
It was.
Artie Sevilla kind of just slipped through his hands off a dodgy win from Reed and just into Creevy's hands, and then there was a bit of a bit of chaos,
but they do conjure just remarkably well. As soon as the chaos happens, their whole team collectively seems to recognize their opportunity, which is something that can't be said for a lot of teams. A lot of teams are missing opportunities around, or just not failing to recognize when it's on. Whereas Argentina, I don't think you can accuse them of being as guilty of that.
You can and you can't, because obviously in general in chaos ball they're great, but in general, they don't use their weapons enough in attack. Like
in terms of the systems,
almost frozen out of the game because it was just.
Well, that's more about their multi-phase as well. They don't seem to have a plan to bring them in all that much, and that's why when you see Tuchel do his big moments in games, it's always off a bit of chaos.
Like the answer Frank Rubber in the first game. Like his moments of magic come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Because they're not actually producing moments to get it into the game.
Yeah.
Which is
that is an issue, and it's the same with Cordero, because this is when we were praising them in the World Cup. They were doing just that. They were a team that got wide very quick and utilised their pacey wingers to score their tries for them.
Built their team around their strengths.
Indeed. Yeah. Whereas this one, I don't know. They have the team, but I just feel it's not even about building it necessarily. They just the focus is all wrong. They need to be just trying to structure it a bit more. It's the same problem with the Jaguares, where just they're the common denominator in games that look mad. This entire year, it's always been the games that have involved Argentinian teams, and to a certain extent some South African teams as well, which is a criticism of them too. But like whenever the Argentinians are playing, there's just a lot of tries, and it's very pacey, but there's also too many errors, too many kicks, just inaccuracies that you can't help but think when you get to this level, when you have to go to New Zealand as they do.
You're struggling with this.
Sorry, I'm just gonna let you go there. Yeah,
go on.
You're
making a good point.
Yeah, no. When they have to travel to New Zealand, it's not enough, and they're just still a curiosity of an international team, because they peak at very odd times, and it's very hard to get a tether on where they are form wise a lot of the time, because they can just click.
By November, it's all gone. They lose all their matches in November,
and seem not that bothered about it either. It's like, I don't know if that's we're obviously judging from very, very far away, and we can only judge what we're seeing. But yeah, they're a curious one to pin down as a team, and they've shifted ethos quite a lot over the years as well. Sure, the Argentina team that was also quality from years ago was more forward oriented and scrum oriented. This team is definitely not that.
They're certainly not scrum oriented. They have a poor scrum at the moment. Joe Moody was really getting the better of them.
Yeah.
But they do have some good tight forwards. Like moving the ball in the tight is certainly a path to victory for them.
Yeah,
little pick and jams,
and offloads. Creevy's always the one looking for them, and like they just need a few more players to step up with that and follow his example.
Be a bit more synchronised.
Yes,
like, as opposed to Creevy working on his own,
which
have someone on his shoulder, have someone reading what he's thinking, thinking on the level that he's thinking. Obviously, you're not going to be as good as him,
but you can be there with him though.
Exactly.
He is one of those kind of head down, do by example kind of hookers. Like he does like to play what's in front of him, read what he's seeing.
He was doing the Sergio Parise job, just trying to do it all himself.
Yeah,
and you can't really blame him. But,
indeed.
Out wide, they have some weapons that they're not getting into the game. They dropped Orlando. I can't remember who they put in instead. I think it was Montero or someone.
Right.
But, it didn't really work.
No, they have a few. They have a few decent centres as well, but again, just no coordination. It seems it feels with them. It's not that
intellectual link play, and not that understanding of who we need to get into the game and where we need to get in the game.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not the superstar and those centres aren't, their job has to become about
distribution
for Tukale.
Yeah,
finding him in space and letting him work.
Yeah, it's still a little too heads up when they have ball in hand sometimes as well, and it gets very lateral then as well because they're not often winning the collisions in this tournament. So they're a little bit like, I don't know, like they're a little bit wayward, but they're not far off. And in terms of the talent pool that they're working from, the players they're picking from, it is good, and there should be hope on the rise. And it's really like the Jaguares are the ones I want to see with a marked improvement, because I think that'll knock on when the Jaguares actually get an identity that they want to start playing.
Fresh coaching.
Yes, external coaching, outside coaching, Kiwi coaching.
A fresh look at what's happening from somebody. I don't know who, but somebody could come in.
It's another one that you could look at and go like, they need to check it type of thing, even though he has his work cut out. But that kind of coach to add just a grit and a real focus on doing the basic things like exiting efficiently and just doing adding these systems to what they're already capable of. Just to
talk about from the game earlier in the year, the Italian game against England. And
rallying.
Bring up just galvanizing a team around ideas and around thoughts and structures and things like that.
Because the players are there to do it. Like Tukale would only love to have more of a role in their attack. Get him in a first receiver. I think he's fully capable of that as well.
Absolutely.
Bring him in and utilise him. Yeah, like because they have so many lovely running backs, and when they have ball in hand, then they really do. And a lot of the tries they score look like they couldn't be scored by any other team in that particular fashion in the world. Like they do bring brilliant spectacle to games. They do that, and they add a lot to the tournament for that. And this was a really good quality game. There were periods of real high quality rugby and a beautiful try. I'm now just picturing Fafita's run off the counter attack as well.
That was Cordero we burned on the outside.
I know, Cordero, and he was busting lung to try and get back and didn't, and it was like, whoa, serious wheels from the big man.
By Fafita,
yeah. So do you drop him? We're actually, as we film this, it's Wednesday, so we don't have the teams for the weekend to come, but so we're kind of posturing and thinking and
and we'll get to that after this sort of game review. It's an interesting one.
It is.
The All Blacks have a lot of selection headaches. The RG less so, although I would say I'd like to see Martin Landajo start a game at 9. I think he's a little better than Cabelli, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see it with Cabelli a lot. I see it like
Landajo's great tracking run after line breaks, and Argentina obviously do make a lot of line breaks, and obviously a path to victory for them is turning as many of them as possible
into points and tries.
Landajo's a great man to get on the end of them.
I think we've discussed that off camera a few times on that. Yeah, we're not all that convinced by the solidity he provides, or the kind of the gel between him and Sanchez Cabelli. Like he's kind of there, a little bit of dead weight sometimes, and not quite as impactful. He's not a bad player.
I don't think he's as good as Landajo, and he doesn't offer as much as Landajo. He's probably a better box kicker, but
this is again just confusing.
He's also not a world class box kicker.
No, this is it, and it's confusing your strengths again because they have tiny little wingers. It's like, what are you doing playing the box kicking game if you have tiny little wingers?
That's it. We'll talk a little more when we get into the All Blacks South African game about how selecting a team can be more about using both using your strengths, countering opposition, and then just like increasing your chances of victory. And who's actually like the quote unquote best player in that position isn't necessarily the best
option. Yeah.
And like we'll see that with selections like Cody Taylor, Dane Coles.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about who's better. It's about what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's like certainly consideration. The last point I want to make on Argentina is just like a lack of a killer instinct that we're seeing constantly.
Well, it's still a losing ethos.
Yeah, we saw it a few times this week. Of just the example is taking the 3 when you shouldn't be taking the 3.
Yeah.
So the All Blacks just get a yellow card. You're on their 5-meter line. The score, you are 4 points up, 19-15.
Kill the game.
You take the kick to get to 22-15. And a few minutes later, Via Fafita is trotting in past Cordero, and that's 22-all.
Yeah.
And you really are letting them off the hook. Where if you take on the try, get an 11-point lead with a man up, they're rattled. You actually get into a position where you're likely to win the game, and noticing that is key.
Yeah.
And too often, Argentina were very comfortable taking the 3 points, and you're not going to come to New Zealand looking to score 3-pointers and winning.
Yes.
Which we've seen over the last few years. I mean, the teams that have caused the All Blacks problems
are the ones who have gone out and got tries early, is what happens, taking the lead. And it's still not enough. This All Black team does do well in those circumstances still, and it's remarkable.
But that is how Ireland beat them.
It is how Ireland
the Lions beat them. When they were 21-9 down, they went and found tries.
That's it. Yeah. And it's what they've been proponents of for many a years, the All Blacks being tongue-in-cheek, kind of jeering at you, going, well, that's what happens when you score 3-pointers.
And to be fair to Steve Hansen, since that Lions tour, he's been
reiterating that point.
Talking about winning games by scoring more tries.
Yeah, which is refreshing, and it's great. We're finally getting our wish of Mackenzie. If any of you have been following us over the summer, we've been going screaming to see more Mackenzie. We have. He's been really excellent, and not without a few errors. It's a good recognition of where their strengths lie, using their weaponry.
It's like bringing in a new weapon to the game, a weapon who did generate them a great try early in the game. And the beauty of that selection, I really do like it. He's had an excuse to drop him after those first 2 games because he hasn't been perfect, and he wasn't perfect again this week. He was beaten in the air a few times by Tukale. He hasn't been bringing this sort of jaw-dropping A game that he was bringing to the Chiefs.
What he is, though, is a bit more of a coherent kind of way for the team to replace Ben Smith and his role in the team up till the point of the hiatus, rather than like a Geordie Barrett type, because they rely a lot on bringing their fullback into the game, out wide in those tram lines and getting on the outside and linking up, and he can do that. He's excellent. That's what he loves doing.
If you have an All Black team with Crotty and or even worse again, Sonny Bill, Anton Leonard-Brown, and then you've Geordie Barrett at fullback, you've not a lot of creatives on the team, and certainly you can't be using Barrett as a weapon because his whole role is distribution in that team, which isn't actually his biggest strength. He's good at distribution. He's an All Black 10, don't get me wrong, but that's not his greatest strength. So when you have Mackenzie in there, a guy who can slot into first receiver effortlessly. Ben Smith wasn't a first receiver, but he was a distributor in those wide channels.
That's where they kept him, because they had those barnstorming wingers that they wanted to link up with, or leave the space for Ben to go himself, which he's capable of. Like it seems to make more sense in the all black mold of rugby to go that way and go play your strengths rather than counter your opponent's options, which definitely seems like for a player like Geordie, when they're selecting someone like him, it feels a little bit more.
In a different context, Geordie's a great player because Geordie's like a real natural fullback. So if you have a natural distributor at 12, if you have a Kirky Beale, that's where Geordie becomes a really viable option.
But the All Blacks have never really done that. No, they've never really gone with that role, and they don't.
Can mould into that role at times. Crotty's such a versatile player.
Yeah, it's more just like nice all-round centre play when he's distributing. He's just passing well when he sees it on. It's not like a conscious effort to have that be the system. I'm loving Mackenzie at fullback, to be honest. I'm liking the wingers. They still have headaches on the wing, always and forever, in perpetuity. They do.
Back in the squad, like it's
always, and Milner Scudder doing well. Milner Scudder and Mackenzie on attacking up one wing is just like serious alarm bells for anyone.
Izzy Dag throughout Super Rugby and again last week doing more than enough
to justify his play, and he's a stalwart in that team as well, and he's grown into his role as an experienced head very well.
And the Box will be wary now trying to kick the ball down his throat. Like I think it could be the case that if they try and target Mackenzie in the air, if that's the way they go at it, they'll find Israel Tag is where he would be more often than not.
That actually does make a lot of sense, especially against Yankees if they're going to be lining up against him, which I presume they will, judging by Pollard's non-cameo.
Yes.
So it seems it's going to be Yankees. I think there will be quite a lot of pegs up to try and find Mackenzie.
It's not a path to victory for me. We will get into it, but I don't think it's the way the Box should go. But we'll see if that's the way they do go, much more often than not. They do go the way they shouldn't go. This team. But no, the All Blacks, like we said, kind of just solidly
working along, and they like I do. You were saying this before, like Graham Henry or Steve Hansen even is learning from what the talk is, what's happened before, kind of shifting his focus more to looking for tries, playing the All Black way, and not kind of tailoring what you're trying to do to what's in front of you, but just asserting like champions do, going like, I'm the best, I'm going to do this, and you're not going to stop me.
Caught up a little bit in the Lions' furor, and they just started like, because they're so long where you're just looking at the Lions play, and that's all you're looking at, and you're not looking at you playing. It's just looking at the Lions playing, the Lions playing, the Lions play. So obviously he got caught up in that a little bit, and was spending a lot of time analysing what the Lions were doing, and was thinking about how to counter it. And worked well in the first test, but ultimately it's not where the All Blacks are at their strongest.
Indeed, yeah, it suits them more to be in that mould of kind of a cocky swagger, a hubris to their play, where it's asserting that you're the best and playing with all those intentions and scoring some wonder tries off the back of it.
Absolutely.
And that's where they're at their strength. It's where they found some of the tries today, or against Argentina again. They just assert their class, and they are such a good second half team. They really are. Like, it's amazing how they purr, and even in the face of adversity, there's just no hint of quitting them, or no hint of, there's never a sense that it's hopeless with them. Even when they're 10 points down with 5 minutes to go, they're still going for it with every intention to just score and claim the restart. And they had a couple of lovely like times when they need scores, and they do gather restarts. This team, actually, that's one thing I have noticed, they are excellent at restarts.
Yes.
Excellent off restart. The best in the world. The best I think I've ever seen in terms of their efficiency and targeting. Bowden Barrett's kicks are normally pinpoint. They have various players that they can utilise to chase a kickoff, or even recovering one and exiting. Usually it's Kieran Reid. Yeah. And no, it can be like they've used the backs a few times when they go slightly further, send the winger up the channel. They mix it up well as well to keep the defence on their toes. And they're very, very efficient with it. They've actually grabbed a fair few crucial ones at crucial times over the last year or so as well.
What really does it defines them as a team.
Yeah. It does.
Has done for a long time. But obviously Ireland proved like that it can't always work, and if they do keep finding themselves in trouble, you can get the better of them. But the way to do that is to
grab every try.
Tries right up until 80
minutes.
Yeah,
this is it. It's not just a Northern Hemisphere. We've accused it of being a Northern Hemisphere thing, about 3-pointers. It's definitely one that came up again at the weekend when we were over seeing Leinster in the RDS, where it's like 3 free points. My dad was caught saying that phrase. I hate it. I think it's a total misnomer. The 3 free points. What is it? The 3 free point fallacy.
That's what I call
is what you call it.
Three free point fallacy, which is that the idea that the points are on offer for free.
Yeah.
They are on offer. You are trading your position on the field, a chance for a try.
Yeah.
You're trading all of that and momentum for 3 free points. So it's not free. The 3 points come at the cost of those.
Indeed, all of those things. And then as well, it's symptomatic, especially in the first half. Teams are often too inclined to just be chipping away the 3-pointers, and if you're if you're the inferior team in a contest, you can't be satisfied with 3 points. You have to recognise that, look, we're in their territory. This is only going to happen maybe 3 more times in the game if we're unlucky. We need to score 7 from it, and that's our only chance to win, is to grab 7 from it. So it needs to be right from the off, going at them and trying to score.
Understand when you do that, and that is how you get the better of the All Blacks. Anyway, moving on. Australia, South Africa played out just an insanely frustrating test match.
They did.
I mean, it was competitive, it was thrilling, it was all of those things, but the word that lingers in my head is frustrating from both sides. I mean,
you were watching it from a pleading point of view with the Springboks, though. I was just watching it with a little grin on my face. Well, not a grin of satisfaction, but more a grin of just, I knew this would happen. They're not doing it right. There's too much dead weight on the team in terms of some of the jerseys that are being occupied. Some of the players they have there I just don't agree with in terms of selection, but also just misplaced focus on what is their team ethic and team ethos. They never seem to stamp an authority on a game properly unless they're in total supremacy when they're blowing teams away, and that's just them going through the motions and scoring. But when they're faced with adversity, a lot of their instincts still feel wrong, and what they're trying to do still feels misguided. And then they can be found out because they're often retreating defensively as well, which I know can't be Venter's plan. It seems to just be a habit formed in Super Rugby over the season, a season long, of not going to New Zealand and taking your lumps if you're mostly the Lions players. It's not, they don't learn until it's too late. And now they've drawn the game. which probably effectively means All Blacks win.
Well, yeah.
We'll see though. This weekend is huge.
Even a losing bonus point now in New Zealand would be tournament over.
Yeah.
They got to beat them twice. So I mean,
I just don't see it happening.
The ideal is that they're going blow for blow with the All Blacks as per Argentina and Australia games, and they win the fixtures 5-4 on points. So they nab a losing bonus point and win 4-0 in Ellis Park, and that's how you win the Rugby Championship.
Yes.
Not by blowing games against Australia.
Drawing against Australia, where the last 10 minutes, my God, was a lack.
Last 20 minutes, it was 20-all with 20 minutes to go, and it finished 23-all. So fault is on all sides there, primarily with the Springboks, who won a scrum on I think they were 23-20 down or something like that. They won a scrum on the Aussie 5-metre line and decided to go for the 3, which I kind of
the 3 free points.
Yeah, the 3 free fallacy, and like it was such a mistake. And I remember joking at the time after they won it, because thinking, of course they're going to go for the try. And I was like, oh, they'll take the 3 now, just to piss me off, and then they did. I was like, but yeah, like I couldn't believe it, and absolutely absurd. And the Aussies went and did the same when they got an instant penalty off the restart. But it was like, from the Bok perspective, it's like, yeah, you work really hard for 3 points, and then they come and get 3 points. How often do you see it? You're lucky they didn't get 7. You took the foot off the neck, like you fools. Win the game with a try. That's what the ethos should be. And again, Springboks missing the boat on what the correct decision is. As a consistent team. The other thing that was happening is, in general, their general play didn't really involve their backs at all. They didn't attack Australia. And
they had a few underperformers, notably Malcolm Marks, but they had a few key pillars in that team who, when they're flowing and going and getting the better teams, they are playing immense games and getting all kinds of impacts and making plays.
Especially the performances of Malcolm Marks and Andres Coetzee, which were really disappointing. Like that, they're new. It's new seeing those guys play that badly, and that obviously is a huge concern going forward. Like you
can't have it happen when they go.
Hope it's a blip, and hope that you can really galvanize and rally the team and focus the team such that they play the way we know they can play when the big game rolls. Right? But this was a big game, and they kicked too much. Was the other thing that I was saying. Like Yankees just giving the ball
and
back.
Cronje as well,
but mostly Yankees just with the up and unders, and it was really disappointing. Kicking for no reason, just kicking because they weren't
doing anything else.
But no Jan at first receiver, no getting Andres Coetzee on the ball on the front foot. Not playing your wingers into the game at all, not getting anybody in space, not looking to do it. Their attack was bland. Peter Steff was doing some nice things. Sia Khaleesi obviously is still glorious.
Yes, he's really playing serious form at the moment, and he seems unstoppable.
And even towards the end, like when Yankees' drop kick got dropped down, and he scooped the ball up with one hand. Sia Khaleesi was great and kept going. And Serpentine was finally in the game, looking to do something there.
Yeah, finally at the end.
Unfortunately, it was Jaco Creel
Jesse Creel, who knocked it on. But he had been having quite a good game, quite a solid enough game. Certainly without ball in hand, he was very effective.
He's not one of the problems, but one of the problems is that they're not attacking with versatility. They're not switching up their options. Jan isn't at first receiver enough.
He's leading the defensive line sometimes, but
the defense is better, and that's part of the reason they were kicking it away is because they were so comfortable off the ball. And even if you look at the tries they conceded, it was the Maul try and then another try where they just switched off after a restart, which I think is 2 games in a row.
Again, the restarts terrible, and
just a key moments. You were talking, they're coming up against the All Blacks this week, the best restart team in the world, and obviously great off turnovers. And those are 2 moments where the Springboks seem to consistently shut down mentally, and
even when they gather them, it's not technically efficient what they're doing at restart time for sure.
But certainly in general, defending the multi-phase much better.
There are some powerful hits going in as well, which I'd like to see. They're actually getting in the faces of the opposition a little bit more, but certainly I'm just not convinced by a few. I feel like the wingers, maybe not, but like the wingers just I think are limited, and it's not like when you think of the great Springbok teams, your Brian Habana strike plays. I don't think they're in that league, and I certainly think that Combring, who we like very much here
from
the Lions, he is such an attritional player. He's such a stout defender and covers the backfield better than both of them. I really question their kick coverage.
Hell
of a boot on him as well, which is a serious weapon to have. It's a very South African weapon to have. I just think he's like a quintessential Springbok. He should be in there. I'd be verging on having him be captain or vice captain or something. He's that kind of player is what I want the example of this team to be. And I think, like, who else have we got in there? The Yankees. I'm still gonna say Yankees is not.
Yeah, Yankees
not the right option.
And Cronje are certainly the reason that the attack isn't flowing.
Yeah, Cronje and Hugard on the bench is not the right option. I'd like Reinach.
We've been talking Reinach and Faf de Klerk.
Yeah, Faf de Klerk certainly for the bench. I think. I think he should be their bench player because
well,
he changes things
if
coming on.
This week we see a Springbok bench with Faf, Pollard and Combrink.
Yeah.
That would certainly be a much better thing.
That's a lot of impact.
Yeah, that would be a much better thing to have on your bench.
You're talking about Delindy on the bench as well. It's like, what does that do?
Delindy on the bench is a weird one at 12. Like, he's just a worse version of Serpentine, like a non-creative version of Serpentine. He's like a good carrier. He's really good for an exit. Is Delindy. Like, they use him in that capacity sometimes when they're on their own 5. You give it to him first charge. He'll do his charge in a little step, beat a couple of men, and present the ball, and then you get a good exit. That's what he's for. Yeah. All Blacks have similar issues with Lau Mape on the bench that hopefully will be rectified this week.
With just another option, like get
something to add to the team. Lau Mape doesn't really add anything. And it's the same with
Delindy. There's some naivety. I still just don't rate De Villiers as a proper thinker on the game in terms of his coaching.
Coetzee.
Oh, sorry, Coetzee. Yeah, what am I talking about? Alistair Coetzee, yes. I'm not entirely sure he's even reactionary. I just don't think he's reading what's going on properly, and I think he's missing some of the key errors that are being made, some of the key flaws that are glaring. Although he has, or maybe it's just South African rugby in the Springboks, they have surrounded him with good people. And they're going to be gaining Erasmus now. There'll be a few more of those schools of thought to come in and hopefully change things for the better. But I just feel there's a little bit of just dead weight on that team. There's a little bit of they're not utilising. We're talking about using the weapons they have. Like Faf de Klerk, he's been having a remarkable season. Is a weapon. Is someone who, especially from the bench, just changes the look to your team, which is a good thing in the last few minutes, especially if you're struggling. Yep. And like a lot of the players that come on, it's just more of the same, of the same. And I don't know.
It wasn't the case with Peter Steff, but obviously since your man's got injured, Peter Steff is starting, and obviously he played great.
He did. You were a big fan, and he is a very, very good South African proper player. Like he's very good in the tight, very technical, and is looking for the offloads as well. Is reading the game in front of him and trying to link up, and that's where they're at their strongest. Certainly was in this game. They did attack up the middle. They got some purchase. They looked stronger than the Aussies, but the Aussie pack is doing pretty well considering.
Where the tries came from, it was tit for tat on the maul, and both teams scored weak tries off the maul against opposition defences that weren't doing right. And then the other try both teams scored was a bit of a chaos try. Yeah, Beale's try and then Creel's try that might have been a push, but I don't know from rule. But it looked like there wasn't that much.
I don't think so. I think you have to give it.
Changed his line into him and then couldn't keep his feet and should have been diving on the ball like a good 7.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. There's still a little bit of ropiness into the Aussie game if you're looking at an Aussie perspective. Like they played remarkably well, and you have to again give Cheika such credit for how they have he has this team playing, because when you look at the players, especially in the type 5, you're just looking at them on the team sheets going like, there's no way they can do it. It's Kirtley can't do everything for you. Yes. And Kirtley can do a lot for them, it seems. He's in world class form, the best I've ever seen him play. Yes. And he seems to be embracing that role that Cheika wants, seniority in the squad and leading by example and just demonstrating what Australian rugby should be about and where they should be in terms of their quality. And they seem to, more so than all of their provincial teams, they seem to have a grid about them.
The backline, like we were looking at the backline at the start of the season, and it's like Genia. We'll put Foley to one side.
We didn't account for Genia's remarkable form.
This is what I'm saying about everyone. Genia, Beale, Kurandrani, Spate, Folau, like all of those players were not doing much for their clubs. And we're like, as good as we knew they could be, we'd almost forgotten because of how poor everything's been looking. And Cheika has remarkably and really wonderfully, and you'd have to be so thankful for him for the sake of the tournament, galvanised them and got them playing as well as they can play. Which is obviously like he's like brute forcing it back to life. The dead Australian rugby is like, don't die on me, and just punching it
hammering
in the chest.
Them clear.
And but like obviously they're old stalwarts playing well. Genias and Beals and Falaus.
They're all going to the next World Cup.
Yeah, and they all are, because
there's no two ways about it.
But their pack is still weak, and it's still a problem.
And Ned Hannigan's still there.
Yeah, Rory Arnold's, Ross Simmons, and your man at number 8, whose name escapes me.
McMahon. Yeah,
it's all just a bit nothing. Plata now even is a pretty average player.
Mm.
They do have a semi-decent maul. They are managing.
They're structured in the maul, to be
Their
fair, yeah.
structures are good. Like their scrum.
And again, credit to Cheika, their exits look efficient. They looked efficient all day there as well, off the exit, off the restart. He has a huge focus on just not being stupid and giving away stupid tries, because that's when you see him start smashing the windows and tearing up the coaching box. When it's entirely their fault, and it's stuff that should be the basics. Yes. And he's really instilled that in them to do that, and then trusting that they're playing. And then
they're coming out of the line, they're defending well. Kirtley's leading the line, doing a good job. Then in terms of their scrum, it's much improved. Scrum coach is good, line out's good, exit's good. It's a really professional job, and he has managed to galvanise the team, which is a great thing, because they were so shot of confidence, especially after that first 50 minutes against the All Blacks. I was envisaging this being the year where they just fall down and keep falling and falling and falling, like the Box kind of did last year. But they've recovered.
They still have such quality in that team as well, and they have still got some of the best attacking instincts in world rugby. Australia have always been with that, and it's very traditional Australian rugby, with Beale at 12 helping out Foley, being the link man to Folau and their danger men out wide. It's playing to their strengths, and they still, just in terms of heads up in broken field and just with their structures, they can score tries and love to do so. It's still just a little frail in the tight, and that game was there for the taking for them as much as it was for the Springboks. And
they took 3 pointers.
They took 3 pointers too.
And kicked the ball away. Both sides in that last 10 minutes kicked the ball away.
Yeah, lots of that.
That was extraordinary. I thought it was really poor.
No, I just thought it was ordinary.
I thought it was very similar. I was kind of getting amused because we were talking about this as the game between the sides, either side of us in the rankings.
Yeah.
Us being fourth, Box being third.
And then,
it's Aussie being third, is it?
Yeah, Aussie third and Box fourth, or fifth, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. But we are we were watching it with our dad, and him just going sure, Ireland would beat either of these playing like this, and we're kind of reflecting, going, I've seen Ireland do this shit before as well.
it's like all three teams consistently demonstrate where they're not on the level of England and New Zealand. It's just that painful inconsistency, that painful poor decision making, that painful failure to recognise what the key moments are, and not failing to execute in those moments. And that's it's the reason why you're not on the level with England and New Zealand. You have the tools, you have great players, especially the Box. You have it all, and you just aren't doing the right things, not getting the right players in the game, not isolating what the actual advantages you have over your opposition are, not thinking about what you're doing, just kicking the ball away so you can defend a bit more, because defence has kind of been going okay. And it's just really sloppy thinking, and Ireland are just as guilty of it as both of those teams. But Australia, different headaches, different problems, certainly playing a bit more above their station than the Box, but same kind of issues in not having the killer instinct to go and win a game.
Indeed, yeah. And it's still a prevailing thing, and now it's interesting now because they're going in against Argentina, which is a game that could go either way currently, because I think it'll be fast paced. I think there will be tries scored, and it's a matter of who grabs more of them. But it's interesting because where are Australia at? How long can they keep this effort up? Could Curtly Beale get injured? There's a lot of things that can happen. Folau goes over on his ankle, and now you don't have Izzy Folau, and there's just
Reece Hodge. That's a bit of cover.
He's been doing well. He's been going very well and doing a stout job.
He can actually slot in anywhere. That's what's good about him.
Yeah.
In those positions. But
it's a clever team that Czech has picked with the tools available to him. I question mark Ned Hannigan, because I when they had their main successes, it was Pocock and Hooper. They need to get some kind of Jackling person in there. He just seems a little bit of an empty jersey in a lot of regards. He doesn't quite do enough, I guess, at this level. And it's often my criticism of their locks as well. Like when you're looking at the caliber of player that Brodie Retallick is, or that Peter Steff is, or that Evan Etzebeth is, it's like where are you challenging them in that regard?
Kind of a curious position, isn't it? Because back in the old days, it was just a line-out man, and that was pretty much it.
And the engine room in the scrum.
And the engine room in the scrum, so a real set-piece, stalwart, tough man, Willie John McBride type player. But now people are kind of realising, obviously, that athletes are very useful in both of those regards. And then the things you can do with an athlete are so different.
Get a basketball player in there who's 6 foot whatever, and he can play ball.
And people different. There's because we're only really figuring out that this is a whole other position that has, as you put it, like been more or less an empty jersey for so long in rugby. Like outside of the set piece, it's just an empty jersey. Hit some rucks, you know, follow the ball a bit, but just stay,
occasionally.
Just stay out of the back's way. And it's like teams are actually starting to think about how to fill this empty jersey. What is missing?
And they are so useful for that link from backs to forwards, especially if they're basketball players, because they can get over and around tackles and get offloads away. And
Leone Nakarawa.
Huge proponent, like one of the first generation of that mold of second row, or that way of utilising them. We've often talked of it, the Brodie Retallick and the systems, the pod system that have come on, but just forwards focusing on that more. I love that. And it's gone worldwide, and it's from top to bottom. Props need to be able to be practicing their catch pass thing, carrying a rugby ball around all the time, throwing little flicks, throwing no-look passes in training. Try and do that shit. Like, keep the ball alive is the main focus. And it's another criticism we had, I think, of the Lions tour when we were discussing Ventia. It's something we've discussed before, but it came up again in terms of some of the man of the match selections at the weekend, and some of the credit due carries. When I'm still opposed to the stat carries, and you were talking meters made as well. Another one,
carries, meters made.
They're just so misleading, because like if you're talking about it from a New Zealander's point of view, or like, which is really what we were talking about, pure rugby. Like where the contrast in commentary is often funny, where it's like, oh, good carry takes 3 men to bring him down. Or kind of run into traffic there. He could have get it out the back door where there was space. You know,
exactly.
Like it's what are you trying to do? What's the job there? And when pure rugby is going on,
it's sort
everyone's
of three
catch
main
passing.
fallacies. Obviously, we talk about looking for tries and winning games, but in sort of where we differ from conventions, I suppose, we definitely think that carries, meters made, and 3 free points are big fallacies that just get thrown around. The problem with carries is that what the carry stat shows you, he's made 6 carries. It means he's died with the ball 6 times.
Yeah.
And it's the same with meters made. I mean, you can make 7, 8, 9 meters when presented with a 3-on-1. But if you've butchered the move, that means nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a dead fallacy, and they do like sort of pump it up when they show a player, I don't know, like 60 minutes through the game, it's like 7 carries and like for like whatever, for 60 meters made. We're always making whatever 9 meters a carry or something like that.
Yeah, which is not whatever it is. But yeah, no, it's kind of it's an NFL trope, and it's not in the interest of the game. It's the try score and pass is what you want to be looking for.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at pure first phase rugby that ends up working, all those first phase tries, that's what it ends up boiling down to, is fix and give. And
there's just not enough Aussie forwards thinking on that
level. Exact level. Yeah, that's exactly it. And there's a lot of head down, gruff grit, and they're trying, and they're trying.
Yeah, they are trying.
Yeah, no, it's
Michael
just
Hooper thinks on an attacking level.
He does. He's actually just a quality player, and he's built for that jackal role. He's not getting the dividends because they're being faced with such efficient units cleared out. Like
especially the box.
But it's the same with the All Blacks as well. He was there at most rucks trying to compete for the ball, but it was just very technical work, getting him out of the way, focusing, like recognition on their part that he is one of their paths to victory is surely Hooper getting his hands on the ball, spoiling their rucks, but just making sure that doesn't happen. So like we'll see now in terms when they're down. It's not in Australia. It's in Australia. It's in Australia. Sorry, yeah.
Both of them are having. Both the Australasian teams are having back-to-back home games.
Right.
And obviously, the next 2 games are going to be in South Africa and Argentina,
right.
Which I think is reasonable.
It is. Yeah, it's not
limit the travel.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have them bouncing back and forth and not training. Yeah. But it is an interesting kind of matchup stylistically, and it is going to be a quick game with a fair bit of random kicking thrown in. Yeah. I feel. But definitely paths to victory for both. I can actually see both teams winning this game potentially.
Australia more likely, and especially if Argentina just start going through the motions.
I still think Australia are kind of in terms of team identity. They have this bit of Checa brazen denial of where they're at, and it's like not accepting that, which is great. It's very healthy in a team. They're going like, no, we're not on the decline. We're competitive with these guys. They just drew with South Africa. We are on the level. Whereas Argentina are still questioning that. And in terms of their play, there's a little bit of a losing ethos. They're very comfortable, or just very familiar with being 10 points down with a few minutes left, and just the game winding out and slipping away from them. It's happened a lot.
The Aussies will be desperately thinking about how to win.
Exactly, and that could pay dividends in this match, because I think that could be a marked difference between teams that are quite close. And both
Argentina need to attack them, and it's like we said earlier on with Argentina, more versatility. get guys like Tukale into the game. Get them on the ball when you have possession. It's not just about like off the edge of a bad Bernard Foley kick. We get him into the game on the edge of a bit of chaos ball. Let's have ways that we can actually play him into space. And the same down the middle, could have a lot of purchase there. We were talking about the Aussie type 5 not being ideal. Through the centre, pick and jams through the centre of the ruck. Creevy getting them into the game, getting a few offloads away down that area. Maybe bringing in Cordero off his wing into attack the inside channel of the 10. I'd
just love to have Tukale coming on one of those mazy little Damien McKenzie runs and challenging Kurandrani, who's quite a stationary target in the 13 channel as well, if you're looking opposite, or Karevi. Both of their options at 13. It will be, but both of their options, it doesn't change much of the role that 13 is playing. And I'd love to see, playing that little wraparound move, bringing Tukale in from wide, or even Cordero, some of the wingers coming fast, and just challenging that position and getting into the tram lines then, like, because that's where their strengths lie. It's where they had success against us, most specifically in the World Cup. That's where it all came to a head. Our reverse drift against their going wide. It was a recipe for disaster.
And disaster happened. And, for sure they have talent out there and they just need to play it into the game. They have obvious opportunities off chaos ball if Bernard Foley's kicking is poor, which wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the history of rugby.
No, it's been known to happen sometimes. He could have one of those good games. I think he's kind of due for a really good game, Bernard Foley, as well.
He has them on occasion.
He does have them on occasion, and I think with Beale outside him being watched now because he's playing super well, I get the feel that the door could be ajar for Bernard to take the game, certainly take it to the line.
Is he gets, like what Sanchez does, is mark the opposite 10 one-on-one.
And he is a great tackler.
It doesn't matter who you put down the channel, but he's going to mark that channel, and if Bernard wants to attack that channel, Sanchez will tackle him all day long for days. I don't think Sanchez is going to miss tackle on him.
Probably not. Because probably not, because I think they will still be trying to shift it out wide and getting the ball in the hands of Falau
the
in danger.
The opportunities are going to come in and around the centres, in terms of the opportunities for Australia against Argentina. Like, it's going to happen in and around the centres. De La Fuentes, those guys, if you can just get on the outside of them or on the inside of them, you can turn them, have them.
Well, Kurandrani will be running from deep at pace in between them all day long.
Obviously Kirtley will be attacking from first receiver coming in. They're great at switching the play when they're going open side. Kirtley will swoop in the opposite side. They're great at doing that. They have loads of paths to victory if they can get their backs on the ball with any degree of consistency. If they can get that much possession, that's one good thing about Australia. This Australia team is just in terms of the tries they're capable of scoring. They have many ways of scoring, and including the ball, they have some out tight, some out wide. They're very effective with skip passes. Yes.
Foley and Beale are very good at that particular skill. So, and they have danger men out wide. Cross kicks as well, comfortable enough doing. They really do feel comfortable attacking, which is not like, it's not often something you can say for teams that are struggling.
What they have to be careful is just at the breakdown. Like you talk about Sean,
because they get a little open and they're often hovering, waiting for the carry instead of efficiently clearing out.
And Argentina know how to jackal. Mostly Creevy, but certainly that back row they can all jackal. And certainly that could be an avenue for success for them. A penalty generator off Aussie ball. That's where Argentina are
just a few lazy lock clear outs. One of the land fall on top of them and try and roll. No,
it really irks me seeing people just bail on a clear out and just getting your man's way then. Like, come in at the side or something. It's terrible to see. Like, you want to go into a ruck, go in with a purpose, remove a man, remove the possibility of a clean out being happen. I remember being taught this when I was playing a few years back by a coach, being literally taught the roll method of clearing a guy out. When a guy's in jackal position, you put your arm over their two arms which are on the ball, lie next to them and try and roll them off the ball.
It makes no ergonomic sense there. It's not efficient with your body.
Second row's trying it, and it's like, this is like a legit technique, and it never seems to work, and like, you're off your feet and it's just nonsense and it looks weird. And what you're essentially trying to do is put so much weight on them that they slip to their knees and lose the ball. But again, some refs are going to give them a penalty anyway for that. You're not actively removing their hands from the ball.
You're not clearing them out.
If you're not a solid technique, what you want to be doing is getting really low, getting your hands between their two hands and maybe attacking one bicep, like getting your arm in here next to their head and then
driving through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's much more effective way to use your weight. If you're talking to like a proper wrestler or someone like that, they'll be looking at that clear out method going, well, that makes no sense. Like, why would I do that? I'll strain my back and get no progress on a guy who knows what he's doing, especially because it's only going to work. That technique only ever works when you're a big guy versus a small guy. So if the scrum half on the other team happens to be the first one there, you can be a bit lazy and just swat him out in any kind of haphazard fashion more often than not.
Yes.
But it's when it's the other number 7, it's Michael Hooper, or it's someone, or it's anyone who knows what they're doing. Creevy, someone who is so comfortable in that position. You try doing that to Brian O'Driscoll as well. I mean, when he was doing it, like, it's not going to work. You need to get him out.
What's good about the other method, though, is provided you don't hit them in the head, if you just go straight through them between their arms with your arm and attack a bicep, is that no matter what happens, even if they stay there, their arms are getting off the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what the key is, because once you've lost your first attempt, you don't get to go
again. Exactly. So it's about removing them efficiently.
Removing them from the ball.
Yeah.
Removing the turnover as a possibility.
Yeah.
And certainly if you want to be in a ruck, be in a ruck.
There's definitely a little bit of panic. Yeah, there's a little bit of panic when they see that the jackal's on or the steel is on, and they just tend to, even if they're not the right option, they'll be coming from the side or something. They jump in to try and do something, but they should have a recognition there that they're not helping. Yeah. It's not helping, it's hurting.
So Aussies need to be more efficient at the breakdown, I think is a very fair criticism. And yeah, it's a game that could go either way. It's a fun game.
Is. Yeah, and it is that fun game as well. I don't anticipate a kind of a slow burner, low scorer. I think rugby tries.
I think that's an avenue for Aussie success. If you just
if it gets into an arm wrestle, I think the Aussies will be more comfortable, because again, if it gets to 60 minutes and it's 12-9 either way, I think there's wilting in Argentina before Australia. There's more of an they acquiesce to defeat sooner. You know, like it's. So
the Aussies never know when they're beat, and that's a good thing.
It is a very good plucky quality to have in a team, and it leads to you playing above your station, to be honest, regardless of what team you are.
Like, you talk about above their station, they are like their
backline.
Backline entirely world class.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's always been the case. Even there's been talk of Aussie rugby being on the decline and nearly gone for years. But what has been consistent through those years is that yes, maybe they only have 25 players who are world class, but they do have those world-class players. They actually have their first team are capable of challenging on the global stage. Yeah. But it's just where's the rest of them?
And the other thing is now it's starting to seep into that first team.
It is.
In
the pack especially. Yeah, it wasn't always the case that they had players like Ned Hannigan at 6 and Sean
and like these guys who are good club level players but are just never going to make that leap up.
Yeah.
Obviously Ned Hannigan, this guy, wasn't even doing that well in Super Rugby. He's a bit of a select him for want of anyone else type player. And obviously that's a problem.
It is a problem.
Matt Hodgson in there.
Yeah, bring him out of retirement, because he
has to wear blue every game.
Yeah, blue socks.
Yeah,
give him the blue socks. That was a great touch to the game. Actually, all the fans in their Western Force
jersey. We learned this week that the Force have been cut from Super Rugby. The only team we're never going to see again, and they were one of the best teams in it.
Yeah,
certainly to watch just as a team. Obviously, their team wasn't as good objectively as the Brumbies, but they were fun and added an interesting dynamic.
Brumbies are fucking shite to watch, I think.
Yes.
Just fucking, it's rotten games always with the Brumbies involved. Yeah. A lot of kicking, a lot of mauling.
Hammered the Taz on the last day of Super Rugby.
Their last game.
For it. The ARU's beloved Taz,
the Taz are softly nothing as well. Like speaking as Leinster fans at watching club level competition, the Taz are exactly the kind of team you love to see it like quarter final time. Yes. So you're just like, yeah, they're gonna break. Yeah. You're just looking at them going like, yeah, they're going to break. We just need to score 1 or 2 tries and then they're done. Yeah. And that's consistently what happens. Whereas the Western Force with the songs they're singing, that last game it was Hodgson's last game, and they had such a great thing. The turnout was in force, and just the Rebels are still there. The Rebels.
Well, what I learned this week
was that they're privately owned.
Yes, there's a complication with axing the Rebels. Obviously the juggle was between Rebels and Force, even though the Force finished second in the conference.
And are the only representatives on that side of the continent, which is more of an issue.
Yeah, which more of an issue is the entire western half of the continent that is your country, is not represented in rugby union now, for want of the city of Melbourne, which is rugby is the 7th biggest sport there, and that's not going to change for the presence of the fucking Melbourne Rebels.
Indeed, yeah, they're utterly useless, utterly devoid of personality, and
the complication with annexing them was that they were privately owned, so there's some kind of contract and some kind of guarantee with whoever privately owns them that they're going to get rugby played at a professional level.
Mm.
So axing them might not have gone through in court where it could, because the force is owned by the ARU, I believe.
Right.
So that's the reason that they did it. It don't make it right.
It's
not right.
wrong. It's downright wrong, and it's
Well, I'd sooner see the
absolutely
Reds
rotten.
cut. I'd sooner see anyone cut,
Yeah.
really.
The Reds annoy me as well.
They're different. They're a different team from Australia, and they add something different, and the games with them are different, and they have personality, which goes a long way.
But not far enough, it seems, in the eyes of those the powers that be.
That was a tangent.
It was a tangent, but it was a diatribe that needed to be said. We are very much out of that perspective, and have enjoyed watching the fourth player of these. They played some of the great great games.
The years of Nick Cummins.
Nick Cummins.
Team, yeah.
Cummins. He's in again. Yeah, it was beautiful. Some of those games. That game against the Taz from years ago.
One of my favorite games of rugby ever was the game in the years that the Taz won, and the Taz were actually class, and Kirtley was actually at his best.
Yeah.
But when they came to the Force, it was the Force's best season as well. The year 2014. It was like February 2014. You should look it up. It happened in Perth. Great game. Cummins scored a hat trick, and it was just a great game. They put it up.
Hodjo getting over the ball all day.
Pressure, but they put it up to them and won comfortably in the end. It was a beautiful thing. The fans were all into it. It's such a great game.
And no more of them.
Yes.
Instead, we're just going to have the Rebels getting hammered.
Yeah.
Every game of the season, unless they
those
maybe
great
beat the
occasions
Sunwolves.
Don't happen with the Rebels.
No.
Every game, there's just no fans, no anything.
Yeah, very very poor technical rugby as well. A lot of the time, it's just a lot of aimless.
They've Reece Hodge.
Did you?
That's it.
That's all. That's all. That's done.
Worth keeping from the Rebels. Reece Hodge. That's all.
Yeah. What else? We also have to preview All Blacks South Africa, which we didn't kind of look at. The All Blacks are going to win.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's probably what is going to happen.
I'm going to talk about it from a box perspective right now.
You've been looking at the whole season from a box perspective. You've been looking at Super Rugby from a box perspective as well.
I see potential in the Springboks. Heineken Meyer also saw potential in the Springboks, and he got cut. Anyway, I do like that they've gone with the politically correct decision of not axing Alistair Coetzee, which is, I guess, fine and understandable in the context of what it is. But what they have done is quietly noticed that there's a problem and put as many good minds around him as possible.
It's still
so things are changing. Their defense is changing. Their breakdown of play has been very good. Their first problem this week is that there's no Jaco Creel, who has been the main man at the breakdown for them. Did a great job against Australia last week. So they've got obviously it's going to be Jean-Luc Dupree to slot straight in, who's like another little mini Peter Steph-Latoy. He's tough, he's strong.
Not necessarily the most technical poacher.
No, but a good poacher nonetheless.
Yeah.
I would like to see them bring in Marcel Coetzee, if not this week, then in the ensuing weeks for Ulster. A natural jackal in great form for Ulster.
It really looked good on the first weekend, and he seems to have started the season with a plum.
Back into that Bok team.
Especially where they have this crisis now with the lack of Jaco and a lack of, we've been talking about just not a lack, but limitations at 8. Certainly not the barnstorming 8 that you'd normally associate with a Springbok team.
Indeed.
It's become kind of a headache for any defence.
Wayne Vermeulen obviously is still injured, so Marcel Coetzee would be a good addition. Obviously, ideally, I'm not even sure about their squad if these players are involved at all, but I would like to see Faf.
I'd like to see Daragh.
You'd like to see Reinach. Well, ideally it's Reinach at 9 and Faf on the bench. I'd settle for just seeing one of them in the squad
at this point.
Yeah,
I'd settle for Pollard at 10, or
well, Pollard on the bench I understand because he hasn't played yet, although he should have last week. But I would like to see them use him if they have him on the bench. I'd like to see just an understanding from that coaching ticket that the bench is not there for cover. They're your finishers, as Eddie Jones would put it.
Yeah.
And you gotta pick them wisely and use them wisely and put them on at the right times.
Yeah. There's been a lot of that not happening though. Around across the globe, either side of the globe. There's been a lot of just, what are you doing with the bench? Why is he there if he's not an option?
Yeah, it's exactly, and it's just not thought about well enough.
Yeah.
So from a Bok perspective, they can win. They have the tools, they have the talent. I think they can win, certainly. It's going to require an 80-minute performance, a performance where the team, a bit like Ireland teams have in the past, clicks
in.
Like the week after Ireland's heavy defeat to Australia in 2013, they clicked against the All Blacks and damn near beat them. Box needs something similar. They need to click, they need to focus, they need no stuttery garbage performances from Malcolm Marks and Andres Coetzee. They need to come out and be physical. They need to get off the line. not retreat,
hit
get off the
Bowden.
line and hit people. It's got to be a blitz in defence, like make them throw the mad skip passes and then you can drift after that.
It'll give Cronje something to do in terms of covering those chip over the tops as well, because I just don't know what he's doing there a lot of the time.
Especially when you've got like those centres that the All Blacks have right now, like Anton Leonard-Brown, or even if it's Sonny Bill, they want to attack narrow. Like they don't necessarily want to go wide in the same way. Obviously, if they get Mackenzie in, they will. But if they are going to attack down those middle channels, and you have Jan leading the line, smashing people, that's what you need. So you need Jan leading the line like he did against France, and the whole team coming up with him and tackling, wrapping the arms, hitting big, hitting high, not letting them offload, not too high obviously, but hitting high around the chest.
That golden sweet spot.
Not letting them.
It's good. We've said it before. We've said it in our criticism of their Super Rugby teams. We'd like to see more of it. Less of this passive drifting when the game lingers on, and it's still happening. It's still happening throughout the course of the game. Sometimes they're leading, getting out of line. Sometimes, you can tell that's what during the game, Serpentine will make some hits and Creel will make some hits in the midfield, but there'll be other phases then, even immediately after that hit's made, where the line's retreating again, and it's just, especially
if the All Blacks get the ball moving with speed, that's what their instinct is going to be, because you can tell it's not what Fenter is asking them to do. And to be fair to them, their defensive multi-phase has improved immeasurably.
Has done.
They aren't conceding as many tries off multi-phase. They just aren't. They conceded one where they switched off. The switches off have to stop.
And it's still happening.
Against the All Blacks, if you go 7-0 up, or like the last two games they've gone 10-3 up, and then conceded a try off a restart 10-0. Which is fine, I guess, if you're against Australia. Well, it didn't end up being fine against Australia, but usually it'd be fine against Australia and Argentina, because you know you're better than them. You know you can just build and start again. If you're 10-3 up against the All Blacks, you cannot be giving that lead away cheaply.
And I think if they're starting with the same team, like I do agree with you that the Boks do have the potential to beat this team, but I don't think they're picking the right team currently. I think with a halfback combination of Cronje and Yankees, they're limiting themselves so much, and with those two wingers on the wing instead of Comrink as well, and on one of them, there's a lack of, like, they're not covering the backfield all that well. They're not, the switch offs from kickoffs. Certainly the previous one where Moster was trying to recover back, but that was the back three should have been covering that, and it ended up going to finding grass. There's just too many flaws with these players, and I fear they will be found out. I really do. I think there's an avenue for either TJ or Aaron Smith to make life very difficult around the fringes for them, and then just forcing those questions to be asked, and that's when the reverse drift will come, and that's where Mackenzie will have a field day out wide. If they're reversing away from him, it's a recipe for disaster. And as much as I could see them having one of those perfect games where they don't have any of those hiccups, they do manage to not switch off.
I just want to see them start the game by getting out of the line and hitting people, and then in attack you talk about Yankees. You almost can eliminate the Yankees factor with a really pumped up Serpentine who's getting in at first receiver, get his hands on the ball, get Creel on his shoulder, get Yankees in behind for the screenplay with Coetzee outside him.
I appreciate it. He does have good, he's very good skill wise, Yankees. Like, he has a good left peg, he can find some very nice touch finders. Technically he seems to have a lot of the skills required, but I just,
he doesn't take it to the line.
He doesn't take it to the line enough. He's not physical enough. He kicks it too much. And if you're looking at a Springbok 10 which is always the way, if Springboks are going to win the World Cup, which is ultimately what this should be about in this day and age now, for all these teams, they're planning for the next World Cup. Yankees is not the answer. Pollard is the answer for sure. That's literally just all I really want to say about it. Yeah, actually he could be good. Let's hope he is, because Yankees is just, in all the ways that I love, like what we were saying about Combrink, what he's represents as a player and how he can like typify Springbok rugby in many ways from that wing. He Yankees doesn't. He is the exact opposite of what you want in Springbok rugby. He is not that solid player that you want. He's very passive, non-confrontational.
So and in games, same issue
as well. Yeah, just a little bit of a. He's not doesn't get in the face of the opposition enough. Doesn't do enough to make it a war and make it scrappy as hell and make it very unpleasant to play against them. It feels like it's very pleasant to play against those halfbacks. Yeah. If you're a pure rugby playing player who likes the pass and likes the tackle and likes the thing, they're very pleasant, pretty players to play against. When they're scoring tries, they're very elegant. Yeah. But they're rattleable. They can get,
and they need to be doing the rattling against the All Blacks.
Exactly. Yeah, they need to be upsetting the very nice and flowy All Blacks, because I fear, and I to be honest, I think it's going to happen that way. They're going to the All Blacks now. that this Springbok team, through the Lions and what all the Lions have been doing all season long, what they're trying to do, they're going to go there and try and play some nice rugby against the All Blacks and come off second best. And I think that's the way it's going to go. They're going to try and play rugby.
I certainly think they can play rugby.
They can.
Like, it's part of their avenue for success if they want to win the game. Has to involve Serpentine and Creel and heads up rugby and attacking where you want to go. One of the issues I have with those halfbacks is that they aren't heads up enough. Like Cross, Cronje and Yankees, whenever they're passing, whenever they're shifting, whenever they're attacking, you never feel like there's real understandable reasons for why they're doing what they're doing. They're just doing it. Also,
is Cronje going to, like, in this weakness that we have recognised in New Zealand, that Conor Murray's exposed and that Genia exposed for the try thing, is Cronje the man to do that?
Yeah, to attack.
Is he the man to attack them around fringes, or would you like Faf in there?
Try concession.
If you're looking for a way to score against the All Blacks, look no further. It's literally a problem with their instincts in defence. It's the fact that they have that sweeper role for the scrum half, and he's consistently facing. He has his body aligned towards the far touchline because he's trying to track across. Yeah. So it takes him doubling back to get back on that inside. Yeah. You need a big guy to go through there. Cronje can do it. He's big enough, but
he's not fast.
He's not fast, and he's not that player.
Hughard could. Hughard is still a very hot and cold player who can produce some magic. I certainly don't think it's impossible, but it does involve great defensive play. Stall them at the breakdown. See Khaleesi, big job. John Dupria in, big job at that breakdown. Peter Steff as well. Like, you talk about the All Blacks being much better. There are still some great battles.
There are.
Like, as much as the half.
Second row is super interesting. Always interesting. That's still a traditional Springbok All Black game in that regard.
Like an on-form Serpentine and Creel up against an on-form whatever Crotty and ALB. There's every chance that Serpentine and Creel come on top. There's every chance that they come on top in the second row. There's every chance that Malcolm Marks gets the better of his man. So there are avenues for success.
Well, certainly if they do go with Sonny Bill, I can definitely see Serpentine getting the better of him.
Stuffing him and a few tackles, for sure.
Knocking the wind out of his sails a little bit, because he's not going to get bullied physically by him. That's for sure.
I suppose that's as good a chance as any to pivot to what the All Blacks need to do. And I suppose the first point that I would make would be that that shouldn't be the method that they attack. Serpentine is one of the box strengths. So is Creel, in defence especially. Where their weaknesses are in the tram lines. So if they're moving it narrow
still not convinced by Skosan and Rule defending. I just don't think so. I think like that Kutsia is a very, very good fullback, especially at covering in the deep. But they're I'm not convinced by their pendulum effect. I think Skosan particularly gets lost in that pendulum a little too often. And when someone's running at them, if someone gets on the outside of Jesse Creel and is running at their tram lines, namely Damien McKenzie is probably who it'll be. But if he has Reid to work with, Reid and Naholo, or Reid and Milner Scudder, they can do serious damage, and I would not be surprised to see Skosan or Rule found out in those areas.
The All Blacks, obviously, the box want to slow down their ball. It's key. But if they do get quick ball, the bet, like, it, as opposed to maybe you talk about Argentina or Australia getting purchases in the narrow channels or in the centres, that's not where the All Blacks are going to be looking. They're either going to be looking to get it wide quick
or back inside,
back against the short side. And the short side is where they could have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
like,
you're
talking
talking
Aaron Smith and Holo playing together. I've been harping up this tree for ages. Like, they have this great in sync thing when they're on form.
They make the blind side so dangerous to defend, and means that it requires defence there. And even just their presence alone could open it up out wide for the other.
Just after a few phases of them constantly doing it, forcing the box to resource that area, then you can find the space for Sonny Bill and the boys. But at the start of the game, it's not going to be there. So what they have to be doing is attacking those narrow channels, getting Mackenzie's hands on the ball. And if that's when the box switch off, obviously there's going to be huge chances for tries. And like, this is the thing, the box, even when they're playing well, they have these like 20-minute periods where they just don't play. And as we know, the All Blacks, they score
5 tries in those 20 minutes. Is it? I'm not entirely convinced it won't be a 20-point win for the All Blacks.
Like, 20 points is like code for 40 points with the All Blacks, because we say 20 points when we mean big win. 20 points means it's tied at 60 minutes usually. Like the Argentina one at the weekend was a tight game that finished 17 points. When the All Blacks stuff a team, they stuff them by 40, which could happen this week.
It could as well. I still have so many doubts, and it may. I don't like to be harping on players. I don't like to pick on players either, because they're all world-class players at this level as well. It's criticisms based on the idea that they should be. Are they going to be winning the World Cup? That's where I'm coming from. It's like, is this the guy to take you to win the World Cup? And a lot of the time with South Africa, I think they're missing their key players, missing where their strengths lie, and also switching off, like you said as well. There's just a fair few bad habits. Also not using their physicality all that right as well. They are getting up out of the line and hitting, but there's still a few just passive tackling, I guess. And it's like even passive tackling from them still is physical, but they should be sticking the shoulder in with intent. You know, like being and venom.
It's disappointing. I really think the Boks, more so than Australia, like it's. You look at the test in Port Elizabeth this year in a full Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium against Argentina, and like it was a tough game. There was like obviously they won it well in the end, but there were back and forths, and the fans were loving it. There was no sense of this. Like what happens with Australia after a few games is that the stadium in Sydney is fucking empty and they don't care, and they're off to the next sport. Like it matters in South Africa, rugby at a huge level, and they have great things to offer when they're at their best. And I really would love to see them get out and put in a great performance and beat the All Blacks. It would be so healthy for the game to have a competitive run in to this championship for the first time since 2013. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
I think the All Blacks will beat them, but I am hoping and rooting for the Boks to do the job. I
just want them to find themselves properly. I want them to be that, like, because at the moment, like we made the point as well, that it seems to be Ireland playing the traditional Springbok rugby in terms of being that physical attritional side that are very hard to play against, and we're doing it at a bit more pace. Like the game has moved on as well. It's not. It's like
have to have a few more wheels, cogs.
Then we need to score more fancy tries, which we're capable of when we look at our club teams, which we may do in a sec as well. But it's just I'd love to see them rediscover that and be that test to the All Blacks where they're really, hey, I'm shining, am I?
I was just looking at
I noticed that earlier on as well. Apologies if I'm glowing.
It's just the sun is right there. There's a window over there that you can't see, but there's a sun out there.
Yeah, which we normally can't see actually, being from Ireland.
Contrary to popular belief, the sun does shine over Ireland, and here it is ruining our show.
Here it is at podcast time when we're inside trying to shoot in peace. But in short, I do think the All Blacks are going to win. I think they're going to win.
It's an Australasian victory, 2 home wins if you want to predict it.
Yeah,
but hopefully the Boks keep the tournament alive.
Yeah, and hopefully they ask some questions as well, even if in defeat they do go down. I'd like to see a few more questions of this All Black team, because we've had that so far from all the games.
What I will say before we move on is just that the All Blacks have a few fun selection headaches, and I think we're going to learn a little bit about Steve Hansen from what's
going on. Yeah.
Like you look at Cody Taylor versus Dane Coles. I think this is the week that Cody Taylor should get a start.
And then bring Dane Coles on.
Malcolm Marks, especially with the breakdown concerns. Sam Kane needs to come in for Artie Sevilla. Not just because he's a better player than Artie Sevilla, but because he's got that breakdown headache
credentials. And
obviously if you've Sam Whitelock injured, you're losing a bit of that stuff. When you've Luke Romano in a for creditable player as he is, he's not Sam Whitelock. So Sam Kane should come in, help them at the breakdown, especially if you're starting Fafita and Reid, who like to hang out outside. Sam Kane needs to be resourcing those rucks. There's no sense in an Artie Sevilla doing much the same. So these are the kind of key decisions where we will learn. Is he going to stick with TJ? Is he going to go back to Aaron Smith? Obviously there are reasons. Hopefully Aaron Smith and Naholo will either.
Is he going to stick with Mackenzie? I hope so.
Is he going to stick with Mackenzie? Another one. Sonny Bill or Anton Leonard-Brown with Crotty. Crotty starts.
Does Dag come in?
Dag is already in, but I'd say he stays.
Do you want Milner, Scudder? Do they want, like, this is it? I don't know if the Springboks go, how they're going to view their avenue to success. So will there be that much kicking? But I definitely feel they need to balance that and try and be both playing but also covering. So I kind of feel that Dag is undroppable for this game. Much as they do have headaches in the backfield, I think Dag is kind of undroppable for this particular game.
Especially if Yankees just gets comfortable kicking the ball.
Which he often does, too often. He does the Stephen Myler route and stand deep, kick it up, love your left boot. No, it's a recipe for disaster. And Dag covers it all, as he's done all season, he'll be there. I'm kind of curious as well, I guess, as to who they'll pick. I think they will end up sticking with Fafita in there as well. He could be dropped. Like he's another option off the bench.
What are you gonna? What? Why would you drop Fafita?
Well, if you want him off the bench, I was supposing.
For whom?
For Artie. Although they do like Artie on the bench.
Sam Kane. They have Artie already in the team. The last week was Fafita, Artie, and Reid, which I don't want to see this week because of the breakdown concerns.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we'll see from them. It is. I definitely think yes. Hansen has changed his approach, or not even changed, but reverted back to recognizing what we should be doing, which is a positive. And it's just I'm curious as to what questions South Africa will try and ask of the All Blacks more so, because I think the All Blacks will be doing what the All Blacks do, trying to score their tries the way they will, and it'll be nice and flowy. They will have no they'll be reading the game in front. If the space is on inside, they'll go inside. If it's on outside, they'll go outside. But I'm curious as to what the Springboks seem to recognise as what their weaknesses are, where they want to attack them, and how they want to attack them, and will it work?
The real concern is if they recognise Mackenzie under the high ball against
as a weakness,
that they want to attack. Like, that's just an avenue for defeat.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to kick the ball all day long, try and get people down Mackenzie's throat. Chances are, first of all,
he'll catch it.
Dag, or not Damien Mackenzie, where you think he's going to be, it's actually going to be Dag.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is, chances are Mackenzie's going to catch it really well, and they're going to attack off those balls. Whenever the kick goes wrong, they're going to attack you.
Yeah.
They're going to attack.
You're inviting them in.
You need to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
You want to look at where their weaknesses are. Look at the teams that beat them, teams that attack them, teams that don't stop attacking.
This is why I fear for the the selection of Cronje at scrum half for one. I think it'll just be a going through the motions, playing pure rugby, trying to just play a nice harmonious game of rugby with them, and just being beaten, scoring.
30-point win for the All Blacks if they do that.
Maybe it will, but I fear that. I'm just curious as to what they recognise, because it's something we've always been thinking of. In the last few years, Ireland have had a few goes at them, and we've often been coming at it going like, what are we going to try and do? And obviously Conor Murray has been one of the huge avenues to success. We've had a few of those little loopy plays where it punches up in the middle, we're trying to catch them against the grain. There are avenues there, and I think there are also players there in South Africa to try and target that.
I think I disagree. I think they will put it up to them for at least 60 minutes. I think they will. I expect Malcolm Marx to have a big game. I expect them to get a bit of breakdown dominance. I expect them to look better in defence. Khaleesi to do well. I expect that big performance to come out of them. I expect them to recognise this game for the importance that it is. I expect a bit of a backlash from what happened last week. They're still unbeaten this year. I don't expect them to go down that easily, and I hope that they don't.
Right. That's an optimistic route to go. I fear for it, but we will see and we will watch. And it is obviously it's All Blacks versus Springboks. So like, what else do you need from a rugby fixture? Get you excited, you know, like So we'll be watching on.
We've been going for so long.
We actually have been going for an hour and 14 minutes on the Rugby Championship, which was not envisioned when we went through very thorough prep and you got all this done, and there was a lot of other rugby. But we'll revert now to our more local Pro 14. Pro 14, Pro 12. What an arcane term. We're going to start with Leinster, because
we were at the match. There's a little shot that you can see of us, and you get a Mars bar. We'll find you and send you a Mars bar if you can give us the screenshot after a Leinster try of us
in the south stand going, yeah.
Send us a picture of us in the south stand cheering on a try for a Mars bar.
Yeah. For a Mars bar.
It'll probably be warm by that time. It
melted away.
You are,
yes.
But you can have it if you find us. So.
All right. But in all seriousness now, it was a bit of a tough watch from the stands in the cold of a Friday night, when for the 60 minutes that it was back and forth, and it was a lot of errors from us, and it was a lot of passive stuff from Cardiff then as well. Cardiff did the same mistake we were accusing Argentina of, actually arriving in our half and very willing to take 3 and go back and reset, and it just...
They never concerned me, Cardiff. Even when they were up by 6-0 and whatever it was. It
was 34 minutes or something, and it was 6-0 to them, and it was frustrating, and the crowd was kind of in murmurs a little bit, and there was a little bit... The ref got a lot of credit, and we still haven't watched it back, the full game on the TV, to see how maybe he was communicating quite well. I also think he was either Welsh or Irish. He was not a neutral. Andrew Bryce. Yeah. But he definitely did not help from being there in the crowd. He was making some confusing decisions, and slow rolling with his signals as well. He did that a lot. That really pissed the crowd off, because he'd blow the whistle, and the whole crowd goes, and eventually he just quickly signals something, and it's like, what? It was a lot of stop start, and on a cold Friday night that wasn't what we needed.
But that said, Cardiff,
it wasn't.
Leinster always had paths to tries. They were never too far off.
No, it was.
Cardiff were very happy to score in 3-pointers, which meant that they were never going to win in Dublin.
Indeed. It should be known at this point. It really should. And Cardiff last season, that was what was a bit perplexing, is last season they were going after games and going after them and being very dynamic in the way they were attacking, looking for tries off counter-attack specifically as well, and just there were very little of that. It wasn't a hopeful performance for a Cardiff fan.
A very poor start to the season for them now after the Edinburgh defeat. Leinster did score a couple of beautiful tries. The Barry Daly claim carry was great. Sean Cronin burning. Sean Cronin lined up against a fatty was just the funniest thing, because he was just glided. He was just jogging, just trotting along, and the guy's huffing and puffing and not getting anywhere near him. Serious gas on that boy. But and the final try that Nick McCarthy won. Beautiful stuff. Catch pass. Devon Toner, what a player.
Yeah.
Making his 200th cap, and it was some glorious hands from the big Dev.
Yeah, and then Nasiwa outside him doing the same, shipping it on, not dying with the ball, not accepting the carry for 4 metres that was on. Oh, it was on though. He could have CJ'd his way into that in between those two players.
Juicy 4 more metres onto his metre made statistics.
Indeed, but no, instead we got a lovely try that was off first phase from the halfway line. It was beautiful.
Jack Conan, great part in it, and Nick McCarthy getting over, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Colin Marsh deserves to go at 10.
That's one thing. We were discussing that. I want to go to one of the Q&As for Leinster and just ask, because I don't know who he has annoyed.
The chances are, if you watch this, you probably don't know who he is. Like 50-50. Like if you're from Leinster and you're watching this, you know enough about rugby to know who Colin Marsh is. I assume, but you don't if you're from anywhere else, and that's because we don't give him a game. So we have this guy Ross Byrne, who we're playing at the moment, who's decent, but he's not spectacular.
He has a touch of those Yankees tendencies about him. He sits very deep and is very reliant on his right peg.
Yeah, so he's a problem at the moment in the Leinster team, gelling and getting as many tries as possible. So Colin Marsh off the bench, young guy, been here for years, and we've seen now 3 coaching tickets just treat him not right, and not give him enough game time. And whenever he does get game time, he shines. Came off the bench last week and scored a great try. This week, game was in the balance for much of the game.
And the main problem was Ross Byrne at 10. He was really not playing well.
And they didn't give him a game. They gave
him on 77 minutes.
He said at 50 minutes, I said jokingly, because I've seen it so many times, Colin Marsh, because we were seeing him up there trotting with the rest of the bench. Colin Marsh getting ready for his 3-minute cameo at the end of the match.
Yeah.
And so it proved, and very frustrating.
It's just why. And it's that same criticism that we're having. It's like with Delindy or whatever. It's like, if they're not an option off the bench, why are they there? What's going on?
He's coming to South Africa this time, so in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully we will get to see him. Great young player, deserves a chance.
Takes the line much more, and he was a stalwart in Leinster A teams, which again, if you're not a diehard Leinster fan, you're probably not familiar with it. But Leinster A were just romping the BNI Cup a few years ago, just going through teams like Goose and putting 70 points on them. And it was generally kind of a few stalwarts in that team, but also a rotation of, if players were coming back from injury, they play a game or two for them. So it was not all that far removed from our A team, but he was the stalwart at 10. He was the 10 while we were putting 70 points on them, and Gervin Dempsey was the coach before he got the job as the backs coach. And I've never seen him play badly. I just don't know, and we have no access to behind closed doors, don't know about training, but he never played badly. It's weird.
He just doesn't get picked, and seems to be just being strung along by them. Like if I was his agent, I would have got him hired. With a guarantee of some first match rugby way earlier. He just
he makes perfect sense if I'm coaching Northampton. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
I'm going to bring it up again. The Stephen Myler problem at Northampton needs to be remedied with someone like Colin Marsh.
Yeah, a young player who takes to the line with a bit of confidence. He deserves to get some game time for Leinster. That is purely parochial on our part, but it has to be said.
It is, and it does, and I'm still scratching my head at it, because it does happen that way. He just gets warmed up and comes on when the game is only when the game is decided. After the 4th try is converted, does he come on? And it's like, why?
It's unfair.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave Rennie's Glasgow looking like the best team.
They started so well, and Dave Rennie, as we were salivating of the thought of when we got the news, like, it's a perfect in the evolution of that Glasgow team because of what they've been trying to do. And he's coming from the Chiefs, and like, you're going to have to say goodbye to Damien McKenzie. Oh no, it's like, oh, Stewie Hogg. My plans don't change that much. Exactly. We're going to work him into the game just fine. Those Glasgow players are only mad to play rugby the way he wants them playing rugby.
Well, it's a glorious thing for him. They were finding tries. They were looking sharp. They were much better than the Ospreys, who looked a bit rudderless. And a beautiful win for them. Delightful. Well done, Glasgow.
on Glasgow. It's great to see Glasgow doing well. It's great to see Edinburgh starting well as well.
Edinburgh are like, I am completely unfamiliar with what's going on in Edinburgh. I still didn't even watch either of those two games.
I know Kinghorn, and Kinghorn is one for the future. He's one of their academy players. He's a fullback, and he's like 20, 21, and he was good last season as well. He scored a few individual tries in performances. He looks a tasty prospect, and they do have a few of them throughout that team. And yeah, they still have that grit about them. Edinburgh are a curiosity as a team, because even when they're an inferior team, they do a lot of spoiling, and they really do like the attritional stuff in the tight. Very comfortable playing in the rain and in the horrid conditions, because such is the locale. Yeah. But they have prospects as well, and just Scottish rugby seems to be
wins for them,
on the up, and this season could be the time for them.
Well, we thought last season was, and in many senses it was. They've gone and beaten Australia. Obviously finished on a damp note against Fiji, but they beat Australia.
There's progress. They like this is it.
Ireland. I mean, they beat Wales. Obviously, it was their breakout year. And the question is, are they going to build on that?
They're going to get a triple crown or something,
or even in November, what are they going to do? Where it's going to go? Club sides, Glasgow. Is there a Heineken Cup semi-final in you?
That's the question. It's always been the failing of the Welsh clubs when we're comfortably in second place after the Irish clubs propping up the top. That was what we also from a parochial perspective. If you go and look up the top of the Pro14, it's great fun at the moment as well. We're Scarlet's got better than us now.
Just like top of one conference, Munster, top of one conference, Leinster. And so I expect it to be building towards the finale of this season.
I do.
Scarlet's fans be warned.
Yeah, I fear for Scarlets in the RDS in the regular season. I think they're going to get schooled at some point by Leinster, because there's a sting in that tail. And that was also like the reaction to that performance, which was the semi-final last year. It was very frustrating from Leinster. It was literally everything going wrong. And we actually had a lot of ball, which we messed up with. We ended up winning a lot of ball in the tight, only to mess it up around wide. And Scarlets do have that pounce factor about them. They are a team that really do pounce on opportunities, and they did. And there's no complaints. They won the game, but I don't think they're going to win the next one.
No, absolutely. They're talking. Obviously, fine start for them.
It is, yeah. No, and more so than before. Like Scarlets were always one. Even when I criticise Dragons playing, or when I criticise Cardiff Blues playing, it's not coming from the same place as Scarlets. Even in the years gone by, Scarlets have always demonstrated good instincts with ball in hand, good instincts in terms of shutting down attacking options. They just look like a proper rugby team with proper rugby heads on them. They just were always a little soft and tight. That's why the addition of the likes of Barkley and stuff and just adds a lot to them, shores up those tight areas. Tyburn as well, being excellent for them. It's just they've got a spine now. They got that core strength, and still haven't lost those instincts. It's always that. This is the barometer as far as Irish rugby fans are concerned. It's always the barometer. It's Europe. It's not about the domestic comp. It's how far do you go in Europe. Which opinions on that probably change depending on different clubs. Different clubs have different requirements. Some need to be doing better in the league than their options.
Europe is the primary goal, though.
It is. It really should be. It's the school of excellence. It's the challenge. The ultimate challenge in European rugby is to go and win the Champions Cup.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're shooting for as Leinster. Leinster will obviously be going for that. 3 stars needs to become 4. Munster will obviously be thinking like that. Glasgow, I hope, will be thinking like that.
They got to the quarterfinal last year.
They did.
Step.
Yeah.
Let's go again.
Go again. Go semi. Go final.
Yep.
That's what they're trying to do.
A lot of teams. It's a great season ahead. Scarlets.
I feel Ospreys are going out.
Yeah,
in the group stage. They don't.
They look like a problem. They don't have that many world class players like Sam Davis and player like
Sam Davis at 10 is a bit of an issue for them, I think, as well. He's
just a bit brittle. Their whole team, there's not a lot of Welsh internationals in there. They can be plucky, especially towards the end of the season.
They can be tricky to play against, is what they are, a lot of the time. But and as far as the South African teams who have opened their account, it's very hard to judge the Cheetahs.
Cheetahs in particular, I can forgive.
Like, it's bonkers, actually, to be honest. The system.
The South African number 8. They're missing Raymond Rule.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a 3rd player in that box squad.
They also have an entire second team playing the Curry Cup.
That's it. Yeah. I believe Supersport had both of the matches on double header in South Africa. Supersport South Africa.
Watch them
back-to-back Cheetahs, and they ship 50 in both matches.
Watch them ship 50 on either side of the globe.
Exactly.
No fun.
It's a format that I expect to change going forward. Whether they change
there's tinkering to be done.
Cup, whether they push the Curry Cup back, whether they have their fixtures on, or whatever it is, like they got to have a way to have their squad playing, because they're just burning up their opportunities to make the playoffs in these early stages, and I don't expect that to end until the Currie Cup and the Rugby Championship end. Now, looking forward, like they might have a good strong finish to the season, because they're not going to have European rugby to worry about. They're not going to have a weakened squad at the Six Nations. So they
could actually make dividends during the Six Nations period.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting interesting challenge for the teams who have to play them. Then
the Kings look hopeless. They look like it's completely a manufactured squad of nonsense. And actually, if they do bring in an American team, I wouldn't mind seeing it be at the expense of the Kings, unless something drastic changes. Because right now, I don't see them improving. You could almost bolster the Cheetah squad with some of their players,
and just make them a proper outfit.
Yeah. As much as I like Port Elizabeth and it looks well, like there just isn't a rugby team there. And it's all kind of like the way they were trying to get it together, grabbing in players from the Stormers and just trying to like mold it together to have a squad that can play.
No, artificial nonsense.
Yeah, it just really does feel like an unprofessional team that like doesn't belong in a professional competition.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And then who else have we got?
I'd say we can wrap it up.
I'd say we'll probably wrap it up.
Pro14 is looking fine so far. Look out for Ulster struggled in Treviso.
Ulster did struggle. Ulster's struggles continue. It seems. New
they looked good enough last week. Tommy Bowe got another 80 minutes in, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Let's just wait and see on Ulster.
We have the Premiership as well. The little notes on that, because we have curiously Matt O'Connor's Leicester, second from the bottom.
Yeah, we always suspected that Matt O'Connor was wrong in his philosophy on rugby. And
considering when he came to Leinster and just turned what was a glorious European champion team into a just average English rugby type rugby league,
forcing their way to the top of competitions with just Cian Healy and Jamie Heaslip like just being class. But
I still remember that quarter final over in Toulon where we were just comprehensively the lesser team, the more negative team, but we were only in the game because Cian Healy was munching Carl Heyman in the scrum, and that was all we had going. We were losing the lineouts as well. We weren't doing well anywhere, but we were still within a score because of that. I don't know, it was just terrible rugby, negative rugby, and now he's doing the same. And
he went to Queensland Reds and failed there.
He was assistant coach for Samoa for a time, wasn't he?
It was Tonga.
Was it Tonga?
Assistant coach for Tonga. Like, that's sort of where he belongs. But then Leicester picked him up. Obviously, he was a servant to Leicester for many years, and it started poorly, and I expected to continue poorly because I don't like, for whatever reason, Matt just is sort of digging his feet in, and he doesn't seem open to the possibility of changing up what he's doing. And like, you can't just blame luck forever.
Yes, indeed.
As a head coach, it hasn't been going well for quite some time now. And Leicester, that's a shame to see them going like that. Wasps and Bath look to have started well. Wasps a bit like Leinster, have started a little sloppy, but getting the wins on the board, which is a good thing to see. Obviously, without Curly Beale at the moment.
Indeed, so him to come back in. Saracens
slipped up against Bath. Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise.
It is Bath. Bath are a team capable of playing rugby, and it is early days, so maybe there's more to come from them. In fact, I wouldn't be doom and glooming Saracens either. Oh, they're gone. Yeah, it's terrible now. Forget them. They're gone forever.
But I will say that Exeter obviously slipped up in week 1, but came back strong against London Irish.
Exeter are a hot and cold team, and if you catch them on a hot day, they're dangerous.
What I will say, especially turning towards the top tours, what's happened there is that
slowest rugby in the world.
That group, when the groups were selected, I was saying, I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast, but I was saying pretty stridently to everyone I know and to the world who at large, who are demanding, saying that like ours was just another group and that the group of death was Saracens and Clermont. I was saying, I think you'll find, sir, that by the time our group starts, it's going to be quite possibly the best or second best team in England, the best team in the Pro14, and the best team in the top coutures, duking it out for one spot. So I mean, shut up, ours is the group of death. And so it's proving. Montpellier have started the season at 100 miles an hour. Nemani Nadolo just racking up the tries left, right and centre. Racking up the tries.
They looked at a dangerous and balanced team with experience of what they've been building for years, which is always a team to fear, is one like what Saracens have been able to do. They've been a work in progress for around 4 or 5 years, building to the point where they're at in Montpellier or something similar.
They're a lovely little team. They've Ruben Pinar at 9. Playing well.
He's playing well.
We've got Joe Tamani in the centre with your man Dumoulin.
Dumoulin is good. Then
Fall and Nadolo on the wings. It's just a glorious team. Great back row. It's a really balanced, really lovely looking team. And
Bardi and Pickamall it's capable of beating any team in Europe on its day. To be honest, it's capable of winning and losing games, as we've discovered. And that is going to be the fixture from our Leinster fan perspective. That's the fixture of this year before Christmas is Montpellier.
Montpellier, yeah. And then Exeter are obviously tricky as well, so it's a really, really tough group. Clermont shot 50 against La Rochelle. Didn't watch that game. Don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Mind you, La Rochelle did look good last season as well.
They don't look like dipping either. It was like an aging squad that was sort of putting together a great season, but here they are again, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and we one of the games we did end up watching like the second half of was Toulon versus Toulouse. There's everything wrong with Top Couture's rugby was on display in that particular game. It was just rotten. Kicking 3-pointers when they should have been going for tries. Moving at a snail's pace.
That was the main thing.
Just so slow.
It's like a different sport to everything else I've been watching that week.
Yeah, if you're watching the Rugby Championship highlights and then you switch over to that and it's just like, wow, this is moving so slowly.
It's like some of the same personnel. Like
Nonu
perhaps slot into that.
But he's making errors now because he's getting the ball statically in a static position, having to go forward.
And fatter, and they're trying to morph him into another Bastero. But it's like
Bastero did get his hands free a bit more often than he's been known to in the past, but he's still a problem. Like it's still banking on physicality. This has always been the thing in these last few years in the Top Coutures is just this focus on being the biggest, strongest person you can possibly be in that jersey, and it's wrong. Like it's just fundamentally not what the sport is about. It's not trying to play in a positive way at all, and it gets found out when teams. Leinster, for one, Leinster don't struggle against French opposition, and traditionally haven't.
Teams like Clermont to actually
they do subvert that by playing pure rugby through and through and being a balanced squad. But generally in group stages, when Leinster have to play the French team, if they're in a mismatch at all, we win comfortably at home and sometimes nick the win over abroad. Maybe sometimes very rarely not get the losing bonus point. It's just we're very comfortable playing that because we are a tempo based team. We try and get it up tempo, move them all around, so it plays into our hands to be faced with big, strong, but ultimately slow and quite immobile
the other thing is like,
defenses.
There's no clashes of styles because they're all playing the same fucking style.
Yeah.
It really bothers me. Like Toulon and Toulouse, it was such an uncreative game. And Toulouse obviously have this world beater in Johan Hugi on the wing who did
have a beautiful moment to score a beautiful set up a beautiful try.
They weren't thinking about where their tries are coming from. It was just smash. It was a crime committed against the sport of
rugby league.
Yeah, it was a crime against rugby as a sport that I was forced to witness. And I'd pressed charges and they haven't heard back.
We will get our remuneration. Give me my time back.
Yes,
restore that to me. It's a problem. I do just not enjoy watching the dynamics of your average top 14 game or top Coutures game.
Like the Premiership is different. It's moving in a better
direction. It is, yeah. Well, there's just been a mixture of styles in the Premiership for the last few years.
And the same is true of the Pro14 now.
It is now. Pro14, I'm loving how it's getting that ever since Sky picked up the rights, they're getting viewed more by people, and we have abandoned this, which was like, it's unfortunate that the decision ended up being made partly on it when they were abolishing the Heineken Cup, but this whole premise that it's like the inferior comp is nonsense. Bullshit. Total bullshit, not just from the insular kind of parochial Leinster perspective, because we've won the fucking European competition 3 times and are in that league, but we had the Leinsters, the Munsters, the Ospreys and the Glasgow. Part of the problem was that Ospreys and Glasgow weren't pulling their weight as far as the European games were concerned. For many seasons they were having very competitive games in the Pro 12 and not doing what they should be doing come the competition in Europe. But and the Italian teams are the other ones that they tether in with that, the lack of relegation and Italian teams. But as far as the quality of the contest, as far as the pace of the games, the Pro 14 is better spectacle for a neutral.
100%.
Much closer to Super Rugby in terms of when you're watching even the terrible teams, the bottom half of the leagues.
Enough good teams look to play good rugby. Last year was Cardiff. I don't know what Cardiff are up to, but like this year it's going to be Dragons with Bernard Jackman playing a bit of rugby.
It's going to be Edinburgh.
Yeah, Edinburgh. Well, we don't know what they look like. I don't anyway.
No, they're playing a little bit more rugby. I've seen a little bit more of them. But
totally, absolutely at the top of the table. Glasgow, Scarlets, Leinster,
Munster,
even at times, Ulster at times, some of the best attacking rugby you see in Europe. Munster, obviously.
Munster, they're getting more open to attacking as well. They're a little bit more open.
Get off it.
They're trying to attack sometimes. They have Zebo.
They attack slowly.
Attack
slowly.
Methodically.
They would slot into that top Coutures.
They would actually. Munster are the top Coutures team in the Pro 14. But yeah, no, it's a very frustrating watch by and large, and as well, there's just a lot of games that just go by rote, and this was another one where the home team just won ultimately, not that convincingly by a score.
Montpellier 3 from 3 and just won away at Cast this week.
That's it. That's the difference. They need to be going there with that in mind. Montpellier don't look like that traditional French team with that kind of frailty.
There's just a lovely balance to them. Like, it's not all big guys. They've got a bit of Benjamin Fall, a bit of Dumoulin. You know, Toumani obviously is a distributor. Beautiful team, looking gorgeous, proper athletes. They're the best team in France at the moment, and I expect them to win some trophies this time. I wonder if Jake White's still in charge. If
maybe,
so, it's like he's obviously built quite a team, and it's rare for him to leave a team without a trophy.
Yeah, it would be a departure for him to do that. So I'm sure he's not intending to. That's pretty much it, I think. Other than unless you want to talk about Izzy Folau.
Oh, that's huge. I mean,
like the big news. We should have led with that.
We should have led with that the whole podcast. Izzy Folau's stance on gay marriage. Poof.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a story.
What a story.
We should all be covering that.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
No. Let's tweet about that. No.
Oh yeah, we'll go on Twitter and talk about some Izzy Folau. Izzy Folau talking about gay marriage. That's very important.
Could not care less. In case could not care less.
Society.
Couldn't care less. Read his Twitter feed, and it's a bunch of Bible quotes and verse and things, and it's like, fine. He's
himself.
He's himself.
Yeah.
We will judge him.
What else he is a glorious rugby player.
Exactly, which is more pertinent on this particular podcast. Whether other rugby media wants to focus on whatever, we're going to try and talk about what he does on the pitch as our way of judging him. It's the same reason we're still talking about Aaron Smith as a lovely rugby player, which he is exactly what he is. We're not talking about anything. I don't want to go anywhere. That's the main point that we're trying to make with that little tongue-in-cheek thing. Like, couldn't care less because rugby. And that's what it's all about.
Rugby.
So yeah, no, that's we're gonna wrap it up. That was podcast number 23. We got through quite a bit there. It's been nearly an hour and 40 minutes.
So I think it could be our longest one ever.
Possibly. If you've stuck with us, fair dues, because
just listen to it in bits, man. Just listen to it in little bits on your way home from work, and then the next day, because you never know. We may not post for a fortnight. Hopefully, we'll post next week.
Hopefully, we'll post next week because there are games.
Just pace yourself. Bite-sized bits of knowledge. Talk. We certainly talk.
Indeed.
I don't think you can question that.
These are ideas and opinions on the game that we love.
And certainly, it's talk.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, without much more posturing and nonsense talk, we're going to wrap up. So yeah, we'll see you hopefully next week with a review of the games that are to come. So see you later, guys.
Bye.
No. Terrible. Go and turn it off.
So yeah. Oh, hello there. We're just talking about rugby. Yeah. Do you like talking about rugby? No way. We do too. Oh, let's talk about rugby together. And the best way to do that, go down below and hit subscribe. Go on. Bye. See you later. Bye.